我觉得为了男女公平起见，应该禁止亲子鉴定。你看男方他想验证女方生的孩子是不是自己的，他可以验这几个孩子，就可以了吗？就很容易的能够得到这几个孩子是不是他的孩子。但是女生呢，又想知道男方是不是有私生子，却没有办法，她总不能拿着男生的头发全国各地去做亲子鉴定吧？只要是跟你在婚内生的孩子，无论是基因谁的孩子，都是属于你的孩子。国外都是禁止做亲子鉴定的，咱们也应该效仿一下。
比如说男的要求做婚检，要求做亲子鉴定，这不是对一个男的保障吗？难道一个男的连自己孩子是不是亲生的，连这个要求，连这个资格都没有了吗？按照你们的思想走。
但我说这个只是说大家的概念而已。我觉得男生思维和女生思维肯定是不一样的。
那为什么我们要顺着你们的思维走呢？
所以说感情当中
这个东西要综合一下吧，协调一下吧。比如说男的要求做婚检，要求做亲子鉴定，这不是对一个男的保障吗？难道一个男的连自己孩子是不是亲生的，连这个要求，连这个资格都没有了吗
？95%的人建议把亲子鉴定纳入新生儿体检项目。
This is absolutely outrageous. According to an anonymous online survey, as many as 95% of men suggest that paternity testing should be included as a standard part of newborn medical checkups. In other words, if you want to register your child in the official family record, a paternity test must be done. If such a policy were truly implemented, it could at least solve 3 major problems. The first is preventing hospitals from accidentally switching babies. Although such incidents are rare nowadays, that doesn't mean they're completely impossible. The second is cracking down on human trafficking. If a trafficked child needs to be registered in the official family record, a paternity test would be mandatory. If the child turns out not to be biologically related, the truth would be revealed immediately, and the people involved could be taken into police custody on the spot. The third is to prevent innocent men from unknowingly being forced to raise children that aren't theirs. This kind of situation is not uncommon nowadays. Not long ago, a news story reported that a certain mother had 3 children, each with a different biological father. Cases like this may continue to appear in the future. What's your opinion on this kind of situation?
天哪，那个炸裂我们三观，将道德按在地上摩擦的。
This divorce case that shocked the entire nation, brutally shattered our moral compass, and dragged ethical dignity across the floor, married for 16 years, yet none of the 3 children are biologically his, has finally reached a legal conclusion. According to a March 12th report from Beijing Youth Daily, this family tragedy from Jiangxi, Jiangxi, which once stirred an overwhelming wave of online public opinion, has now been settled through court mediation. The man, Chen Jixian, and the woman, Yu Hua, have officially dissolved their marriage. Following the judgment, Yu Hua not only had to pay a certain amount of compensation, but also voluntarily gave up any claim to the property and chose to walk away with nothing. At present, Chen Jixian has expressed that he plans to let go of the past pain, start a new life, and reclaim his dignity and future. Let's briefly revisit the entire course of this event. In December 2007, Chen Jixian and Yu Hua entered into marriage and later had 3 children together. On the surface, they appeared to be a happily married couple that many envied. However, in April 2022, everything took a dramatic turn. According to 3 authoritative paternity test reports issued by Huadi Genetics, none of the 3 children were biologically related to Chen Jixian. Upon learning the truth, Chen Jixian suffered a complete emotional breakdown and furiously confronted Yu Hua for her betrayal. Unexpectedly, Yu Hua responded, "I don't think this counts as cheating. Is blood relation really that important? Some people can't have children either, don't they also adopt?" These remarks mercilessly shattered the public's fundamental trust in marriage, family, and motherhood, and completely ignited a firestorm of outrage among countless netizens. Even more shocking was the fact that Chen Jixian later submitted new evidence to the court. In November 2022, Yu Hua had given birth to a 4th child at a hospital in Shangrao City, and the person accompanying her during childbirth was none other than Mr. Wu, whom she had been having an inappropriate long-term relationship with. In other words, all 4 children, without exception, were not Chen Jixian's biological offspring. Once, he had thought of himself as the most admirable husband and father. In the end, he became what the world saw as the ultimate sucker, a tragic man completely deceived, humiliated, and turned into a public joke. For anyone to go through such a devastating blow in life, even the strongest individual would be crushed. Although the matter has now come to a legal conclusion, the betrayal and humiliation Chen Jixian endured may leave psychological scars that won't heal in a short time. Even so, we sincerely hope that he can slowly walk out of the shadows, regain his confidence and strength in life, and continue moving forward. This case also serves as a sobering wake-up call for all of us. If love no longer exists, then at the very least, respect and basic boundaries must remain. In the adult world, the most dignified way to part ways is to say goodbye with decency.
然后也理所应当地收到了很多小仙女的问候。
Yesterday, I put forward a suggestion. Should paternity testing be made a mandatory part of newborn health checkups? As soon as this suggestion was posted, it went viral instantly, and the comment section exploded. Of course, I also received quite a few insults from women. Many people stood up to oppose this idea, and one commenter received quite a lot of likes. He said this matter has more drawbacks than benefits, and he even specifically emphasized that he's a man, yet still doesn't support mandatory paternity testing. His reason: the child is innocent. But the problem is, when an honest man is cheated on and ends up raising someone else's child, is he not innocent too? This commenter also said that just because the child isn't biologically related, most couples, 8 or 9 out of 10, will end up divorcing, and the child is thrown into a broken family right from birth. Isn't that an even greater form of harm? Even more absurd, someone even tried to portray the mother as the victim, saying that the mother is pitiful for having to raise the child alone, and that it's tragic for a child to grow up without a father. Well then, let me ask, whoever fathered the child should be the one to raise it, right? How can you say there's no father? A child can't just appear out of thin air, can it? Is it possible for a child to have only a mother and no father? This kind of turn-a-blind-eye logic is just way too delusional. You say you're a man, but everything you said sounds exactly like an attempt to whitewash the woman. If a woman can't afford to raise a child alone, then she shouldn't have given birth so casually. And since she dared to have a child, then she should find that man and make him take responsibility. You went out and messed around, and now you can't find someone to be responsible, and you think you have the right to complain? How does that make sense? If you truly are a man, then all I can do is wish for your dream to come true someday. May you get the full experience of raising someone else's child for 16 years. Some people even said that the cost of doing a paternity test is too high. Let me tell you, almost every normal man is willing to pay for it. As long as it confirms blood relation, no matter the outcome, I believe most men are willing to spend that bit of money. It not only protects personal rights, but also boosts hospital revenue. How is that not a win-win? So here comes the real question. Who is the one most unwilling to do a paternity test? I don't need to say it. Everyone already knows deep down. Even more interesting, a woman messaged me privately and said, "Whether the child is biologically yours doesn't matter. Some people live their whole lives in blissful ignorance. As long as the child recognizes you, why make things so clear?" She also asked what the point of proposing mandatory paternity testing was. All I could say was this: if it doesn't matter whose child it is, then why don't you go ahead and voluntarily raise someone else's kid? Living a confused life might seem pretty carefree, sure. But have you ever thought about this? If after 16 years you find out the child isn't yours, could your blurred life philosophy really console the heartbreak and devastation you'd feel? It was only after seeing all these comments that I realized there are still so many women online with completely twisted values, and they're brazen about it. Not only do they ignore the most basic sense of fairness, they even show up to take offense personally, and have the nerve to mock you sarcastically. Honestly, some women aren't afraid of the truth itself. They're just afraid the truth will rip their cover to shreds.
很多男人说生了孩子马上就要做亲子鉴定。
Now, many men argue that as soon as a child is born, a paternity test should be conducted immediately. The purpose is simple: to confirm whether the wife has been faithful to the marriage. After all, only the woman herself truly knows who the father of the child in her womb is. In the eyes of men, this is a right to know that they as husbands are entitled to. However, this viewpoint has sparked tremendous controversy. Many women strongly oppose it. They believe that this kind of demand essentially treats all women as potential traitors and is a form of collective stigmatization against the female group. They cannot accept this kind of humiliating logic of "you're a woman, so you must prove your innocence," and therefore they refuse to accept a paternity test based on such reasoning. In response to this resistance from women, many men say, "You're unwilling to do a paternity test. Does that mean you're hiding something? Does that mean you feel guilty? If you don't cooperate, then I can only assume you've cheated." This kind of mutual assumption eventually leads to the two sides being unable to communicate on the same logical level. One side insists on my right to know, while the other insists on my personal dignity. So, what if we look at this from another angle, solely from the perspective of the right to know? Could it be done this way? Imagine a mutually equal system. Step 1, after a man and woman register for marriage, both are required to leave samples at a relevant institution to establish a national-level paternity information database. Step 2, in any region whenever a newborn is born, samples must be collected and entered into the system. In this way, both parties have the right to uncover the truth. The man can find out whether the newborn is his biological child and whether his wife has been faithful. The woman can also discover whether the man has any other children registered under his name, and thus determine whether the husband has ever cheated. After all, since women are naturally subject to suspicion regarding fidelity when giving birth, then men should also be included in this system. Because in the end, only the man himself knows whether he has fathered children elsewhere. By making both sides transparent, this kind of mutual supervision and shared trust structure would truly count as an equal mechanism. Of course, such a system also faces real-world issues such as cost. A single paternity test can cost over 1,000 yuan. If all married couples and all newborns nationwide were to be entered into this database, it would undoubtedly require a massive financial investment. But it's undeniable that this dual right-to-know mechanism is indeed a concept worth pondering. It's not just a technical reform. It's an attempt to break the deep-seated mistrust between men and women. If we can institutionalize a bilateral, equal, and non-humiliating framework for the right to know, perhaps we can genuinely solve many of the fundamental issues currently plaguing modern marriage relationships. So, here's the real question. Do you dare to take a paternity test yourself?
Given the way things are going, who would still dare to get married so easily? It honestly sends chills down my spine. I saw a staff member from a paternity testing center reveal online that last week alone, they issued a total of 487 paternity test reports. And the results? Out of 87 blood samples, a full 33 were found not to be biological. Among 69 hair samples, 30 were not biological. Of the 56 fingernail samples, shockingly, 20 were not biological. 45 toothbrush samples, 18 were not biological. And even among 57 pairs of cigarette butt samples, 26 pairs showed no biological father-son relationship. The most shocking part is that among these, 141 were submitted online as judicial paternity test applications. Yet only 11 were confirmed to be biological. And among those 11 couples, 8 of them tore off their facades and started arguing on the spot. The remaining ones probably already had an idea in their hearts, said nothing at all, took the report, turned around, and left without a word. My God, after hearing these numbers, I was genuinely too shocked to speak. My mind just went blank, and all that was left was one word, speechless. And this is just the data from 1 week. If we look at the scale over an entire year, I really can't bear to imagine it. At the end of the day, it's clear that men have it really tough nowadays. Working so hard to make money and support their families, buying cars, buying houses, spending hundreds of thousands of yuan on a bride price, only to find out in the end that they've been played for a fool, raising someone else's child. Who could endure that? No wonder more and more men are saying these days that they have no requirements for a partner anymore. The only requirement is the child must be biologically theirs. Just listen to that sentence. How helpless and how heartbreaking. In my opinion, if you realize the person you're with is totally unreliable, then let go early. Don't keep indulging yourself and playing the simp. Some bros already got cheated on multiple times during the relationship, yet still can't bear to let go. If you really go on to marry her, then aren't you just waiting to be destroyed emotionally? So I say, a real man should never be afraid of being without a wife. What you should fear is throwing away all your dignity with your own hands. Hold your head high. If the girl in front of you is untrustworthy, then cut her off cleanly and decisively. Don't hesitate. Do you also support mandatory paternity testing? Feel free to leave your comment. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. See you in the next video.